Hello everyone, welcome to Commerce Piece. In my previous videos, I have taken the name of RBI many times that RBI is the Central Bank of India. In today's video, let's discuss in detail about RBI because it's a very important topic for all the students who are preparing for the competitive exam. So let's start today's video with a small introduction about RBI. The full form of RBI is Reserve Bank of India. So it is shortly called as RBI. So Reserve Bank of India or RBI is India's central bank and regulatory body responsible for regulation of the Indian banking system. So RBI is the Central Bank of India and it is the regulatory body that is responsible for the regulation. Regulation means control. So RBI is responsible for the control of the Indian banking system. So all the banks that are operating in India comes under the control of RBI. It is also known as Bankers Bank. So all the banks that are there in India that are operating in India comes under the control of RBI. So it will RBI acts like a bank for other banks in India. RBI regulates a credit and currency system in India. So it will again control the credit and currency system. Credit means it will decide about the cost of the credit, that is the rate of interest on the loans. It is responsible for the issue and supply of the Indian rupee. So as it is a central bank, so it will decide about how to issue and when to supply the currency into the economy. So this is a small introduction about RBI. Let's now move on to the history of RBI. Before 1920, there was no central bank in India and all the banks that were operating were private banks. So in the year 1920, that is immediately after the First World War, the commission was set up, that is the Royal Commission on Indian Currency and Finance. Popularly, this commission was known as Hilton Young Commission because this commission was headed by Sir Edward Hilton Young. That's why it was popularly called as the Hilton Young Commission. And in the year 1926, the Hilton Young Commission recommended the creation of Central Bank for India. So in the year 1926, it suggested for the creation of Central Bank for India. After the recommendation of the Hilton Young Commission, the Reserve Bank of India was established with the RBI Act of 1934. Here you can see RBI Act is given. RBI Act means RBI will operate on its own laws. It was created as an autonomous body. It started its operation on 1st April 1935. So these 2 points are very important. Most of the time students get confused between the establishment year and the operations year. So be clear in these two things, that is it was established in the year 1934 with the RBI Act and it started its operation on 1st April 1935. The next is the headquarters of RBI was initially established in Calcutta. Now the name of Calcutta has been changed to Kolkata, but moved to Mumbai in the year 1937. So initially the headquarters was established in Kolkata, which was moved to Mumbai in the year 1937. So the headquarters of RBI presently it is situated in Mumbai, and the initial capital of RBI was rupees 5 crores. So as it was established as a private bank, the initial capital of RBI was rupees 5 crore. This is an important question because most of the time this question was asked that what was the initial capital of RBI. So the initial capital was rupees 5 crores and who contributed this 5 crores? This was contributed by the private shareholders because RBI started as a private shareholders bank. So it was contributed by private shareholders. RBI got nationalized on 1st January 1949. The aim with which RBI was created was to act as a central bank for India. As it was acting like a private bank, what happened? There was no coordination between the RBI and the government. That is the reason the government of India has decided to change the ownership status of RBI from private bank to government bank. That's why nationalization means when the government acquires any private undertaking and it changes its ownership from private to government, that is called as a nationalization. So RBI got nationalized on 1st January 1949. That is, the status of RBI has changed from private bank to the government bank. Lastly, Banking Regulation Act of 1949 was passed by Government of India to empower RBI to control other banks in India. As RBI was acting like a private bank, it got nationalized. So what happened? Again, the Government of India has passed one more act, that is the Banking Regulation Act, to give powers to RBI to control other banks in India, because RBI is a central bank in India and it should have some powers to control the other banks in India. So that's why Banking Regulation Act of 1949 was passed. Let's now move on to the structure of RBI. RBI is controlled by a central board of directors appointed by the Government of India, keeping in with the Reserve Bank of India. So the board of members are appointed by Government of India and there are total 21 members, in which there will be one governor, and presently the governor of RBI is Mr. Shaktikanta Das, who is the executive head of RBI, and there are 4 deputy governors and 2 members representative of the finance ministry. The first will be the financial services secretary and the next will be the economics affairs secretary, and there are 4 directors in the board, because RBI has 4 zonal offices located in Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata, and each director will head each zonal office. And lastly, there are 10 government nominated members. So this is the list of members of the board of RBI. Let's now discuss the functions of RBI. The first function of RBI is the monetary authority. So the implementation and monitoring of monetary policies. So monetary policy means the management of money supply and interest rate. So monetary policies are implemented by the government of the country to achieve the macroeconomic objectives like inflation, growth, liquidity. So that is called as a monetary policy. So RBI will implement and monitor the monetary policies. The next is ensuring the price stability in the country considering the economic growth of the country. So it will ensure the price stability in the country, and it will also ensure that the country is achieving the economic growth. So this is the first function of RBI, that is the monetary authority. The next is the issuer of currency. So as the RBI is the central bank of the country, it has the monopoly of printing the currency notes in the country. So it is the RBI which will exclusively print the currency of India. It has the sole right to issue currency notes of various denomination except 1 rupee, which is issued by the Ministry of Finance. So except 1 rupee coin, the rest of the denominations of currencies are printed and it is issued by the Reserve Bank of India, and the 1 rupee coin is actually issued by the Ministry of Finance. The next function is banker to the government. So RBI acts as a banker, agent and advisor to the government of India and state. So as it is a central bank of the country, so it will act like a banker, agent and also the advisor to the government, to the central government and also to the state governments of India. The next is it tenders useful advice to the government on matters related to economic and monetary policy. So RBI will give its advice to government on matters related to the economic and monetary policy. The next is Bankers Bank. As we have already discussed in the introduction part that RBI acts like a bank for other banks in the country. So our Reserve Bank of India performs the same function for the other commercial banks as the other banks ordinarily perform for their customers. So as I already told you that RBI will act like a bank for other commercial banks in the country. Whenever the commercial banks are in need of funds or they are facing deficiency of funds, what they will do, they will approach RBI for taking the loan. So RBI will act like a bank for other commercial banks. RBI lends money to all the commercial banks of the country. So in the case of deficiency of funds of any of the commercial banks, it is RBI which will lend loans to these commercial banks in return for a interest rate. The next is managing foreign exchange. So RBI manages the foreign exchange reserves of India. So whatever the foreign exchange reserves are there with India, it will be managed by RBI. It is responsible for maintaining the value of rupee outside the country. So it is very important that the value of our Indian rupee should be maintained all over the world. So it is the responsibility of RBI to maintain that value of rupee outside the country. Let's now discuss the subsidiaries of RBI. So what is the meaning of subsidiaries? Subsidiary is a child company that is controlled by a parent or a holding company. So here the subsidiaries of RBI are Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, DICGC. The next is Bharatiya Reserve Bank Note Mudran Private Limited, BRB NMPL. The third is Reserve Bank Information Technology Private Limited, REBIT. And the last is Indian Financial Technology and Allied Services, IFTAS. So these are the four subsidiaries of RBI. Earlier NHB and NABARD were the subsidiaries, but currently they are no more the subsidiaries of RBI. If you want a detailed video on subsidiaries of RBI, then you can find a link in the description box, or you can check out on my channel, that is Commerce Bees. Lastly, let's discuss some of the important points related to the RBI. In that, the first is the first governor of RBI was British banker Osborne Smith. So at the time of the establishment of RBI, India was under the control of the British. So the first governor of RBI was British banker Osborne Smith. The first governor of RBI who signed notes was James Taylor. So the first governor who signed the notes was James Taylor. So don't get confused between the 2 points. The first governor was of RBI was Osborne Smith, and the governor who signed the notes for the first time was James Taylor. C.D. Deshmukh was the first Indian governor of RBI. So the first Indian governor was C.D. Deshmukh. At present, 25th governor of RBI is Shaktikanta Das, who took charge on 12th December 2018. So the present or the current governor of RBI is Shaktikanta Das, and he is the 25th governor of RBI. RBI also acted as Burma's, now Myanmar, central bank until April 1947. So Burma was a part of India, so it also acted as a central bank for Burma until April 1947. Now the name of Burma has changed to Myanmar. Not only for Burma, it also served as a central bank for Pakistan until June 1948. Manmohan Singh was the only Prime Minister who also was the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India. So Manmohan Singh was the only Prime Minister who also acted as the Governor of Reserve Bank of India. Currency notes have 15 languages engraved on them. As we are discussing with the RBI, which exclusively deals with the currency of India, so we should have the knowledge that there are 15 languages on our currency. Lastly, the accounting year of RBI is from 1st July to 30th June. Don't get confused in the accounting period, because the normal accounting period is from 1st April to 30th March. So the accounting period of RBI is 1st July to 30th June. I hope you are clear with the topic of RBI, that is the Reserve Bank of India. If you like the topic, please share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to Commerce Bees. Thank you.